the jig is up. No, you don't have to know how to sketch to be a good painter. This video will dispel myths. It'll surely tick a lot of people off. But ultimately, and most importantly, towards the end of the video, I will share the tools meant to free you up to enjoy watercolor painting like never before. And honestly, I'm gonna give you some soul-freeing sketching techniques just in case you don't want to hate sketching anymore. The sponsor of today's video actually ties in perfectly to kind of this love-hate relationship with sketching. And I'm trying to find different ways to fall in love with sketching and to enjoy it. Okay, friends, we're going to talk more about Skillshare later, but let's get into this conversation. What's missed often in the conversation about sketching as a needed skill for watercolor or painting or art making at large is the context in which someone makes the decision to start the journey of learning some type of art medium. The reality is that many of us start painting or making art because we want an outlet. We want a path to joy that we can access whenever we want. It's not so much about the end result, but very quickly, as we start to discover what supplies to use, we find YouTube, we find tutorials, very quickly we become immersed in this how-to, should-dos, don't-dos kind of thinking. And that takes us off track from the joy train and puts us onto the end game. And it's that end game type of thinking in your art journey that really causes a lot of problems. Watercolor joy in the beginning stages isn't perspective and scale and all of that stuff. Watercolor joy in the beginning, or maybe forever for you, is splash, it's mess, it's muck, it's experiment, it's just getting something down and enjoying that act more than a specific end result. Very quickly, you can go from watercolor curious to waist deep in tutorials that make you feel inadequate. And that's what I want to avoid for you. Sketching for art technique approval alone is a slippery mental slope that you don't need to take. So let me introduce you to something I call unsketching. Sketching with a pencil, perfect forms and shadows, is often an early goal for many new art journey people like you. You're my art journey people. But seriously can become problematic and make you feel like you're doing things wrong, make you feel like you should not be on this journey because your sketch doesn't match someone else's. Are you with me? Have you felt this? I know you felt this. I feel this. I feel this every day still. Sorry to tell you. Sketching early in your journey or sketching at any point in your journey with the goal of only getting better at sketching is like a stress magnet. And you're probably like, wait a minute, Kristy, but don't we want to improve? Don't we want to challenge ourselves? Yes, but not at the cost of our sanity or at the cost of our entire new hobby altogether. Meaning, we don't want you to walk away from this thing. So we're going to build habits that prevent you from walking away. Sketching can absolutely inform and improve your art making journey, but not traditional sketching. We'll get to that later. So let's learn some sketching techniques that are designed for you to enjoy the moment and not worry so much about your end game. I have turned to Skillshare to start a new course that I just need to tell you is incredible. I've been working with Lisa Bardot of Happy Art Making, and she has a bunch of courses about kind of kickstarting your creativity, but with Procreate. Now, if you're not into Procreate, I get it. Skillshare has so many categories of classes. Of course, a ton of different art and watercolor and sketching and all that, but even beyond cooking and how to, do your taxes and all that kind of fun stuff. It's all there. You truly feel like you're joining a community because there's a great section in each course where you can share your work and chat and get help. So listen up. The first 500 people to click my link or scan this QR code will receive 20% off their first year of Skillshare. And friends, you start all this off with a 7-day free trial to make sure you're loving it. And there's a 30-day money-back guarantee, so it's a win-win. Get started today. Tracing is an incredible way to bypass the fear of sketching. And no, it's not cheating. And if you want to know how and why, you're going to want to watch the playlist I've linked in the description. Of course, you can use a light box, but today I'm using tracing paper. The one that I love to use doesn't smear, it's not waxy, and you can paint right over it, and it's erasable. You just lay it dark side down, you put the paper you're tracing on top of it, and off you go. You're building muscle memory here, and that is so important. Remember that phrase. And Kristy Science says muscle memory is basically where your hand and your eyes coordinate and they remember that relationship. So when you come back to sketch something next time, your hands and your head are going to get along a lot quicker with one another. Essentially, you're going to feel more confident every time you come back to sketch the thing, and it doesn't even have to be the same thing. So this tracing activity can really help you develop that muscle memory, get your fingers used to using the pencil in a certain way, get your brain used to communicating with your fingers, and you can really experiment with things like line quality, like I'm doing here with this really straightforward architecture piece. I can kind of play around with how I lay the line down while having the security of the image right underneath my pencil. Muscle memory is key, not just with sketching, but with painting at large. And speaking of memory, don't forget to boop the like button. And on this channel, a boop is a like, and it really helps me get found by other folks like you. So hit it, hit it, hit it. Yeah. Next up, we have loose shape sketching, and it's exactly what it sounds like. But here's the thing. I want you to stand up if you can. If you can't, don't worry about it. I just want you to use your whole arm when you're sketching these shapes instead of your wrist. All right, what you're going to do is with a really light touch on that pencil, holding that pencil halfway up the barrel, I want you to sketch out some shapes. Start with a circle, and you're going to go over and over that shape. I don't want you trying to get the perfect circle. It's going to be a wonky circle. And then you want to continue on with triangles, rectangles, trapezoids, parallelograms. I don't care what you do. Just make sure you're kind of going over and over them a few times with a very light hand, using your whole arm. Let that motion come from your shoulder or at least your elbow. And if you can stand, do it so you stay loose and bump those shapes up next to one another. Fill an entire page with this exercise, and I'm going to show you what you can do with it later that actually turns it into a piece of artwork. Now we're going to get into something a little bit more recognizable, and an ice cream cone seems perfectly fitting. You'll notice here that we're not working from reference images. I mean, technically with the tracing we were, but we're not working from anything that is beyond what's in your brain. And that's the beauty of these exercises. All right, starting with simple shapes and that loose kind of repetitive motion of creating a lazy circle. And there we have it. Now create a bigger one underneath. You're going to use a light touch here, loose arm, and now a triangle. It's upside down and it has a little bit of a smiley face top, a smaller circle at the top. That's going to be your cherry. And you've got the basics of an ice cream cone. I'm going to add some diagonal lines here. I want my cone to be a waffle cone. You don't have to do that. And then when I add in the second set of diagonal lines, they're going to be curved a little bit just to give this ice cream cone some volume. Now, here is where I'm going to edit the outer silhouette, a little bump, a little just bounce, and I'm pressing harder on the pencil. Add a stem to that cherry. You can edit the shape here. This editing is really important. This is where you get to add some little je ne sais quoi, a little like splash, a little personality to your sketch. And this is what so many of us are fearful of. But when you have the strong structure of the basic shapes underneath, you don't at all feel as scared anymore. So I would watch this section again before you add your personality to your ice cream cone. See how I did it. Notice some things about it. Pressing harder, not having a continuous line when you're editing that silhouette, and give it a try yourself. Line work. This is just another way of loosening up your hand and building more of that muscle memory. And you will be able to turn this into artwork later, so if you want to use watercolor paper, go for it. I am creating a scratchy, bouncy, swirly type line across the entire width of my page. I don't care how hard you press for this. I just want you to create different shapes and bounces in a continuous line. Now, kind of a wave shape. Again, the key with this exercise is continuous line. It's like letting your brain just let loose. You're not overthinking the next step because you have no choice because it's a continuous line. You've got to keep going. You can also mirror the first line with a second line. That is great for muscle memory and it creates a really cool little decorative element. You can do more smooth and longer continuous lines. Here I'm adding a little bit of a leafy suggestion as I go, but notice I'm staying with a continuous line. That is so important to free up your brain from all the fear that can come with sketching. Here's another one. It's just a lot of like weird curved V's, but again, continuous. This should be feeling good right now. If you really stick to the loose, light, continuous lines that you're seeing in a lot of these exercises, it's meant to free up your brain. Now, let's get on to painting these up really quickly. One layer of watercolor, have fun with it, and these can become something else. Bookmarks, cards, whatever you want them to be. But what they are not is fear-filled. What they are is a path to true sketching, because that is exactly what they are. I would love for you to share in the comments what you're feeling, how you're feeling. Are you still scared? Are you still like, nope, sketching's not for me? Let us know why. Let the community chime in and walk, talk, and love you through this sketching madness because it can be so overwhelming, but we're here for you.